Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Victoria Skirbo speaking to you, as always, from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I am here with my one and only Ona from Ona's Tarot. Hi, Ona.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good. We are going to be
stay
doing
aware.
yeah. Well, we're doing good, right? We
Yeah,
have our challenges, but we're doing good.
yeah,
That's kind of goes right in line with that Capricorn energy, right? Challenges, but you overcome them, and often with a lot of heavy lifting and some consternation, right? Yeah.
yes. And you become aware of what Saturn is in control of,
Oh, yes. Oh,
right? There really, your timelines get all screwed up in the winter. Everything that is structural to you gets dried up or broken.
your skin, your skin turns into lizard skin. It's the winter here in the
All
northern
of it.
in the northern climes, as it were.
Yes. That's why I wanted to give Saturn a nice little warm blanket yesterday to sit on, because it's one of those things, that seasons that you have to honor, because it will tell you when it's had enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Saturn really is, in a way, the bottom line of things. Like Saturn is really no, right? No. And you're like, I want to do this. And Saturn says no. And a lot of people don't like to hear no. So a lot of people don't really have a good relationship with Saturn, I think. But I think the older you get, the more you realize that Saturn is there as both a support and to a certain extent a protection, I think.
Yeah.
And you're a Capricorn, so um, you know there's like sometimes I forget that you're a Capricorn because I always sort of on some level experience you as a Virgo, and of course you have like a shitload of Virgo in your chart,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
right, so it's not and of course it's all that Virgo is sort of trine your sun, and you have Jupiter and Taurus. You have a lot of Earth in your chart. I think one of the reasons why when you experience the energy of what's going on in the heavens, you often create something tangible, something that you can, and interestingly enough, something out of skin, right,
Yes.
and pelts, because Capricorn rules bones and
Yep.
skin, what supports us and what contains us.
And you know what? Before I started working with the leather samples, I always had bone in my arm.
Yes.
There was always bone in it.
Yeah.
I collected bones. When I found bones, I still have them all around.
Bones and stones, right?
Bones and stones
Bones
and
and stones.
yeah, always that whole like Saturn kind of thing. Truly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can appreciate that. I have Saturn in Capricorn, as people born in 60 and 61 have. So I can appreciate that. um, so this new moon is is it the second or the third degree of Capricorn? It's very,
You know what? For the time, we have it at about 10 to 2 in the morning, right? 1:50 a.m. It came up at 0 degrees. I know the sun will be at 2, right? So it should be around 2 degrees.
I think it's two, but I can, you know what? I'm going to share a screen right now so we can look at the Sabian symbol for this
Yeah,
degree. And I
yeah,
think it's a very, very powerful symbol, especially considering the fact that Volodymyr Zelensky came to the US yesterday. Did you get to listen to that at all,
I
his speech?
didn't, but I saw him and thought him handsome in his fatigues. That's all I'm going to say.
I know there's a lot of crushes going on, but this guy is really
Adorable.
sort of, it doesn't, I don't think it makes any, I don't think it makes a difference to him. Oh, I think all he really cares about is getting his country out of this quagmire.
Yeah, and I think it was just, but actually that would be a neat thing to do a video on, maybe a body language thing, if I really took a look. And I think at that point when I was just sort of wrapping up the day, I didn't even know if it was Wednesday or Thursday or, it was the end of the day sort of thing. So I didn't follow up with it at all.
All right, let me pull up the chart. I mean, what I want to share the chart. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this was actually part of my December video for everything that's going on in December. So I just want to, actually I can do it from here. This is fine. So we have the new moon at 2 degrees of Capricorn. And the Sabian symbol for that is 3 rose windows in a Gothic church, 1 damaged by war. And this is what Dane Rudger says about this symbol. And this is the chart right here. Interestingly enough, the day vibrates to a 41.5, I believe,
Yes.
right?
It's an Ace of Cups day.
And it's the Ace of Cups. So underneath this very sort of stark Sabian symbol, perhaps, we have the underlying energy of being offered this cup of unconditional love, right? So it says here, the keynote is the necessary realization by an individual making a violent use of collective power that it will lead to the inevitable destruction of some of the values ensuring group integration. So our ability to get along, right? It seems obvious that the interpretation of the symbol should refer to the disruptive consequences of war. The chief who claimed power from his tribe in order to lead or save it must reckon with the consequence of a too impulsive use of power in terms of violence. It always astounds me how the Sabian symbols so align with what's been going on. And this book was written in the 70s, maybe, or a long, long time ago. And the Sabian symbols have been with us since the early 1900s, I believe. In order to lead or save, it must reckon with the consequences of a too impulsive use of power in terms of violence. The integration he seeks to maintain or enhance may be partially destroyed if in his ambition he yearns to be the victorious war leader glorified by his people. A rose window is not absolutely essential to the cathedral, yet it symbolizes that through which the light of the spirit enters into the edifice. Man's soul is said to be threefold. So that's the triplicity, right? We always see that in symbols of the Triskel or this Celtic knot, which is 3, or the Trinity in Christianity. Which part of man's inner trinity of principles tends to be destroyed by the use of violence? Evidently, the principle of love and compassion. And it's interesting because one of the things that was said yesterday, and I'm just going to come out of this and we'll look at the chart in my astrology program, because we'll just look at the chart, was that something that I don't know if it was Zelensky who said it, or there was a guy on, I don't know, I was watching CNN or MSNBC, but he used to be in the Ukraine and now he's here, and he used to be one of his advisors, and he said that this war has to end soon, because if it doesn't, there's so much trauma on the people of the Ukraine that all they're going to want is revenge for all of this craziness. And he says that's not going to abide the peace that we need to have. And it's really, I think, and I think Zelensky said this, but it's really about building peace, not just stopping war, but for people to be held responsible for what they do. And it was really nice to see somebody with heart in a position of leadership, because we haven't really seen that in a long time, at least in this country, I think.
True.
And it was good to see our president. Like, I felt like, I don't know, it seems to me like there's a lot of lip service when it comes to the things that Biden says, and they need to be said. So I understand that. But I really felt his presidential power when he was standing next to Zelensky, and Zelensky reminding us, you know, what's at stake here. He knows all well and good. He's pretty much lived under the onus of Russia his whole life.
Yeah.
And he's a Russian-speaking Ukrainian. He was born on the side of the Ukraine where everybody speaks Russian, so he knows. And we, you know, don't really, as a country, I don't know, or are we, what are we doing? Like, are we really truly understanding the grace that we have because of our democracy?
Yeah.
And because of that. So I don't know, I think there's a lot of lessons here for all of us. But, you know, Capricorn is about creating a structure that's going to support you, right? What did you say we should all do for this Capricorn new moon?
Give yourself a job interview in the mirror, right?
Yes.
Interview yourself for a job and just pull, like, you know, 3 job interview questions from, you know, Google, and and throw them up on the mirror and see how goofy you look.
Whether you're going to get the job or not.
For whatever job, it's a new moon. You want to be an astronaut? Apply for an astronaut job. But how do you want to project yourself next year?
Yeah.
In the next, you know, the next time the moon makes a rotation, and which will be next year.
That's right.
From what we can tell and calculated, it seems like everything happens just a little bit before. I feel like New Year's is now. I don't
Yes.
know. It's like
Yes.
Christmas is already, I've already dismissed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is, you know, this is, it's an interesting time because we're doing this the day before the new moon, in the dark of the moon, right? And we just had the darkest day, and now we have the dark of the moon, and then we have this new moon in Capricorn.
Yeah.
And the new moon in Capricorn, let me pull that up if I could, to look at the chart.
And these are, you know what's important too, this is a time when my body historically craves citrus.
I think this is hold on, let me get out of this here.
It's the vitamin C, like put that, you know, what we're lacking in sunlight, you know, outside of ourselves, and just that oranges, you know, things that are vitamin C, right?
Yes.
Months anyway is good for you, but it just, that color, you sort of infusing that, right?
Sun and Capricorn. I know I have the new moon. I have to find it. So sorry. I should have had this ready. You know what? I'll do it this way. I'll just find it this way. Okay. Now, of course, we have to remember that we just had Jupiter move back into Capricorn. Okay, I mean into Aries.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
this new moon is square Jupiter. So here's the new moon. This is the new moon for. Can you see it? Are you seeing it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Once I have to start doing technology, like my mind goes blank and then I don't know where I am. So this is for December 23rd, 2022, Washington, D.C., 5:17 in the morning. Did I say that? Yes, 5:17 in the morning.
Yeah.
The sun is not up yet, so it'll be dark when the new moon falls over Washington, as it were. And we can see that this new moon for Washington is like much of the stuff is underneath, right? Is sort of on the lower half of the chart. So there's this sort of energy of fomenting, right, or of developing. It's like I'm not sure we're going to see much for a while because it very much feels like it's undercover. There's a lot of undercover energy here. Of course, the North Node is in the 6th house with Uranus there, so that's surprising. The 6th house being health and service and military, and the South Node coming out of that 12th house in Scorpio. We can say at this point that Saturn is just about finished squaring the nodes. Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn, it matters what degree Saturn is in, and it's the 22nd degree. And I'll just read that degree out loud. I don't have it written down, but I have the thing to just read the degree. So when you have a new moon, I always sort of look at the ruler of whatever sign the new moon is in to get another aspect, sort of another layer of meaning. So we have this rose window sort of, excuse me, with one of them being broken, right, because of war. So we have, what did I say, 22? What is it, 22, right? 22 degrees. It's 21 and change.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says here, a rug is placed on the floor of a nursery to allow children to play in comfort and warmth. The warmth of understanding which comes to those early in life are open to new possibilities. Man is never left without assistance when eagerly seeking to grow emotionally and spiritually, even if he does not consciously realize the intent and the value of what sustains his self-development and cushions the shocks which life provides. His growth in understanding still, the assistance is there. This very much sounds like Saturn, right? It's there for your support and your protection, even though it doesn't always feel that way with Saturn.
Yeah. And maybe that's what Saturn needs to learn, a little emotion, right? Saturn's always...
well, it's funny you should say that, because what's Saturn's next step?
Pisces.
Saturn's next step is diving into Pisces.
Yeah.
And Saturn's going to learn a whole, and it's in. Like it goes in March and it stays in, you know, sometimes it pops back out and goes into, nope. It's in, even when it goes retrograde, it goes retrograde to like 30 minutes of Pisces. So it's in Pisces and you have a Saturn in Pisces. So you're up for your second Saturn return.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing about Saturn and Pisces is that, you know, Saturn is about structure and Pisces is about dissolution. So there's a test here for the things that will make it through that Saturn and Pisces. Right? So that'll be interesting. Yeah, so there's this sort of symbol. The symbols are kind of about our ability to, from the very beginning, support and comfort. And one of the things that I find most disturbing about the times that we're in is that we don't seem to value life. We don't, now not you and I, of course, we value all these things. That's why we're on YouTube talking about them. Value life, value children, value the gifts that we're given, right? The gift of life. We have these people trying to tell women what to do with their bodies. Women know what their bodies are capable of. Women want to bring life forth, but they're not going to bring life forth in an environment where it can't be sustained. And so I think that we are going to have a new sort of relationship. And the interesting thing also about Capricorn and Saturn, And Pluto, of course, being in Capricorn is the first aspect within like minutes of 2023 is Pluto making a conjunction to Venus. So it's a transformation of values and maybe a new set of values. And so I think part of what we are trying to connect with this new moon is, what is it do we truly value? What is it that we can build a life upon?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think this disposable culture has been around for a while.
Well, modern life is a waste, really. I mean, when you just go to a party store, and I hate to like bum everybody out on a party store because everybody likes a party, but you can go to a party store and spend $100 on junk that's only going to find its way into a whale's gut, or you know, I mean, like, if you're going to have a party, go out into nature and pull some branches, because you know there are plenty on the ground because of all the winds, right? You know, create and think about how you can sustain your life. That's part of the, I think, the whole Uranus and Taurus anyway, is really sort of figuring out what is it that we really need.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
Saturn going into Pisces, we'll have a baseline idea on what it needs. And some things are going to have to change.
well, some things will change.
Sources,
Some things
won't be available anymore. You know,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that you know, as we're walking through, I'm just going to pull out of this so we can see each other better. You know, when I don't know, like I live in New England, and New England is traditionally a very frugal place, because you know, people came here and there was like fertile ground, but there were all these rocks in the ground, so they made, you know, they made the rock walls, you know, out of the rocks, and then they planted and stuff. So there's this real sort of getting by what you can sort of collect in your yard kind of energy up here, which I actually really like, because I like living within my material needs in a way. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between being cheap and being frugal, right?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of things that, you know, even going to the grocery store, of course, you had the trauma of trying to get some chips before a big storm.
We are expecting a big storm, and you know, the news hypes you up a little bit in the morning, like, come on, we're tough as nails, you know, we've done this before, we've been through this mess. I was at Target right when they opened at 7 o'clock this morning, because I don't want to deal with crowds this Christmas.
Yes.
Shit, nothing. Like, well, you know, I needed laundry detergent and stuff anyway. There are no potato chips in the aisle at Target, and I stopped in my tracks. I'm like, this is a bad storm. Much worse than I thought, much worse than they reported. So, you know, I went to my head, well, do I need to run my sink all night long? Because we're going to drop about 40 degrees. Yep, we're 34 degrees, and we're supposed to be minus 11 on Saturday morning.
I mean, the storm, right? What a storm. A new moon in Capricorn starts with this storm that's really going across the whole nation, and stopping people from traveling. Like there's this continued sort of energy of, you need to take, even though with COVID and all of that, and how we were all sort of like stuck inside, which wasn't a big deal for me because, you know, of my lifestyle at the time, but like this, like, just no, stop. Like, stop. What are you doing? What do you need to do?
Saturnic, right? It's so sad.
No, it's so no. It's like, yeah, you want to go celebrate? No. You know, my family, Michael's family has this Yankee swap, which I freaking love. It's always hysterical because somebody always gets stuck with like the worst gift. And then you just bring it the next year, put it back in the thing and see who else can get the most terrible gift. But we were going to go, and his whole family was there, and he wasn't feeling well. And he says, I feel like I have a cold. He could have had COVID. It's because COVID now is sort of like a cold, right?
Yeah.
It's, some of it is like just like having a bad cold. He says, I don't want to spread it to the family. So we didn't go. And then the next day we get an email that one of the people at the party had come with an earache. And when she went to the doctors to get it looked at, she had COVID. So now everybody at the party was exposed. And
Yeah.
I think there's like 5 people now who are sick from it.
Yeah.
So, that's something else that I think we need to really listen to our bodies and what it's trying to tell us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
trust that, like almost like let go of what other people expect you to do.
Yeah.
Because there's always a lot of expectation with Capricorn,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you're a Capricorn, so
It's a building of the immunity kind of season,
yeah, right. And what are you smelling? Did you say oranges?
You know what? Well, oranges, that reminded me while I was here, but I've been smelling this grape thing, like grape juice, artificial grape juice, grapes, wine. So, wine to the point where I'm like, did I leave an apple
To
did it
rot.
roll under the couch?
Right.
Because I do, when it's strong like that, I do look around for it, because I found a prune in the backseat of my car once. I know I bought plums that summer, it went like right in
Yeah,
there.
it happens. Well, and
Yeah.
then you have animals. So, oh, is this a ball? And then they throw, it's no, but it's not. It's something
So
edible.
easy. And then I did the oval mats yesterday. It's still kind of hanging around, a little bit of Chanel, but that's my mom. That's my mom. She's got the Chanel, which actually I looked it up. I'm like, I need a bottle. So like
I'm hoping to get my mother's ashes before the new moon, but I don't know. Maybe today.
Will they this soon?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get your mother's ashes?
She died on the 3rd of October. She was cremated on the 10th. And I got her ashes like 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay. So I probably won't then.
Still without a death certificate. I'm like, I don't care because they like to bring everything at one time. I'm like, no, we're good. Just, been waiting long enough.
Right.
Cook County is a little backlog that way, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we have maybe 4 crematoriums in the Chicagoland area. So it's hard to say how long it would take.
Right. Plus with the holidays, I'm sure there's some sort of, and people tend to pass at these times, and like the solstices and the equinoxes, the changes of the season is about change, right? It's cardinal. It's about starting in. That's the other thing about Capricorn, as structured and sound and enveloping as the energy of Capricorn is. It's also cardinal. Yeah. It's also asking us to move in a new direction. And the direction is one of self-responsibility. And so it's very interesting that we both lost our mother in this year. And now as the Capricorn new moon sort of comes up, it's like we have to put our big girl pants on. Yeah. Even though we're adults, even though we've had careers, even though all of that, if your parents are alive, you're still a kid. It just doesn't, it doesn't. And I thought about that.
Yeah, I thought about that, Tim. Like, what is it that I have to pass on? I'm getting all these invites to do Christmas, stuff, and I'm working this weekend, so I can't, but I'm going to be doing the same thing I've done the last 5 years on Christmas, is go to the nursing home to just work in one that's a little bit different now.
Right.
So I'm not doing anything that I haven't done in the last 5 years. It's pretty much the same thing. I just have a different position.
Yeah.
So what am I passing on to, traditionally? Not really much this year.
Well, I think I have great hopes for 2023. There are some big changes happening. We have Saturn moving into Pisces. We have Pluto dipping its toe into Aquarius. That should cause quite the kerfuffle.
Yeah, I like
especially in the
7.
technology industry and all that Twitter mumbo jumbo.
That's going to be a really, really interesting thing to track when Pluto moves into Aquarius.
Right.
How things start to, we can correspond those two things, because that's going to be really crazy.
And then if you happen to have Aquarius in your chart, whenever a planet, especially something like Pluto or Neptune or Uranus, when it moves into your chart, into a sign that you have planets, it starts to vibrate. It starts to create the sort of transformation already. Even if you have a planet at the latter degrees of Aquarius, it doesn't matter. As soon as it moves in, you start to feel the shake. And it'll be very interesting to see. I have Jupiter in Aquarius. You don't have Aquarius in your chart, do you?
I have Aquarius in my chart.
I mean, I could look. Yeah, I have your chart.
I have Ceres.
Oh, okay. There you go. See, that's good. And so you do have Aquarius.
Ceres
So reaping what you've sown. Ceres.
All right. That's good.
And the other thing about the chart today is that we have the sun and the moon right in at like 2 degrees of Capricorn. We have Jupiter at 1 degree of Aries, but we also have Ceres opposite that Jupiter at 1 degree of Libra. So there's a reaping of justice at this time too, which I think people will be very happy with, because we certainly need, and that other thing about Capricorn is being held responsible.
Yes,
right.
That is such an excellent point about the being responsible. If that's another Saturn quality, is you, like you said, put your big boy pants on. Like
or just in the case of your patients, just put your pants on, guys. I'm sorry.
I hope this weekend is cold enough that everybody in that facility keeps their pants on.
Well, I live in a very old New England sort of farmhouse, so I have to keep my pants.
Keep the pants on.
So sometimes going to take a pee-pee is like, woo!
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, maybe we should get one of those toilet seats that are warmed up. That might be
or just a soft one, the soft toilet seat.
That's
true.
Used
to be popular. I don't know if you can get them anymore.
I know we used to have one when I grew up. Yeah, a nice soft toilet seat. I don't know how sanitary the soft toilet seat.
Oh, horrible! No, they're a big mess.
Terrible.
Maybe wood. Wood is a little bit lighter, doesn't absorb as much thermal.
Cold. Yeah.
That would help. What was I going to write? It started to snow. It's 11:58. Okay. It's there because there goes, that's it. So that's part of another thing to remember is, if you're anywhere in the Midwest, you're not going to see anything green for a while. Unless it's some of those pine trees, which is another new moon, kind of thing. That part of your brain, right? The pineal gland, pine.
Yes, yeah. In fact, pine cones, often when you see pine cones in art, it's symbolic of the pineal gland and the third eye. Yeah. So, and one of the things that this time of the year does give us the opportunity to do, especially if you're stuck inside, especially if you lose your electricity or something, it's the silence, it's the quietude. And so it's important that we take that time. And I think it's a very sacred, holy moment that
Yeah.
we're in.
Yeah.
And I think it's a time that we need to really go within, to access the new world that we're facing. We're facing a new world, and we've had to let go of a lot of things that we've grown to depend on. And I think that's been a process, not just for you and me losing our mothers, but I think just in general, like, I know COVID definitely, and the lockdown and all that stuff definitely.
And even some people that don't want to, that are afraid to remove their masks, that are still in a very heightened, red alert state.
Right, fear state, yeah.
And I see there's got to be a dozen of them I see every single day.
Well, I want to also point out that Capricorn and Saturn are associated with fear. So you might have to face some fears at this time.
Yeah.
But, we live in a modern world, and, I mean, when I think about what the Ukrainians the Ukraine is a cold place. I mean, it's like Chicago, like in the spring, I think. It's a cold and
It's brutal.
It's brutal. And, these people, we have to sort of keep, and anywhere, anywhere really, it's not just there. I mean, there are people, Afghanistan is a cold place. Iran is a cold place. All these places, mountainous, cold. And there are people that are living in tents because they're just disrupted. We really have to come and start being much more humane to each other. And hopefully when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we'll get a little bit more of a beat on that, I think. But, who knows? It's hard to know.
I think so too. In LA, the mayor is signed something for housing the homeless in motels.
Yeah.
Just recently, and I thought, oh, please let that storm start to spread.
Yes. Yeah. Especially, California is California. They have, I think, 25% of the homeless population.
Yeah.
But if I was homeless, I'd probably want to go to California too, because it's warmer. I don't want to be in Boston
year round. You can sleep outside year round, and that's where their more heavily populated homeless population is. Right. And that is such a brilliant, we're fighting for that in Chicago. There are a lot of abandoned buildings, homes, hotels, things like that can house our homeless population in the winter.
And the other thing I also think that we need to look at is, like, one of the things that Capricorn will often force us to do is to be resourceful, right? Like, we may not have what we need, but we have to make do, or we have to create, or we have to. And so look around in your life and see what you can make do with, or even in the case of, cities with populations that are out in the cold now. It's just not, housing is not affordable.
No.
Housing is not affordable. I was just passing, like,
the MacGyver challenge. I like that for the new moon.
A what?
The MacGyver challenge.
Yeah, like that. I was passing, like, an area by my house that there was like a building there. It had been there a long time. The ground, it was for sale. Like, it was sort of like a mixed sort of like industrial / retail area. And I thought to myself, I hope they don't build like another CVS or another what do you call it, a gas station, And then I thought, maybe they'll put housing there. Wouldn't that be great? Because we really need people to have a place to live. It's just not affordable.
And you know what, surprisingly, from what I've learned, the people that have, what is that called when you squats? When they've claimed
squatters' rights,
take remarkably good care of that property.
Yeah. Well, people don't, people are invested, I think, in where they live.
Yeah.
We just have to give them the space to do it, you know. I mean, things are, you know, I'm optimistic that things are gonna go are moving in the right direction, but how long it's gonna take and how many people have to suffer in the interim is another question.
That, yeah, I hope we're over the hump of, but that how long it's gonna take, just how long did it take for us to, you know, to see what we've already known about the ex-president, right? How long did that take? We've been waiting for this for years.
You know, the interesting thing about that is this coming year is a 7-year, 2023. 7 is very introspective. It's an analytical year. It's a know thyself year. It's about
it's a blue goldstone color.
I like that.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And but then like that year, the year of the 1 year that started this 9-year cycle that we're moving into a 7 of was it was a 10-1 year, and it was 2016.
Okay.
Right? That was the year that Trump was elected. He was elected in a 1.
In a 1 year.
10-1, the Wheel of Fortune.
Ah.
So, which is a Jupiter energy in the tarot and on the Tree of Life. And of course, he has a stationary Jupiter, as do you. So, hey, but you know, that's why he's gotten away with so much, because of his Jupiter in his chart. But, you know, this is it, and we're probably not going to get to the end of whatever lesson is around him until we get into the 9-year, which is 2025.
Yeah. Interesting.
But that's the end. That's the end of it. As you reap, so shall you sow, 2024, right? The 8-year.
Yeah.
So it's just a, I don't know why I brought that up, but maybe about lessons that we're learning, and maybe coming to peace with how long it's going to take, because it doesn't really, at this point, it doesn't really matter anymore. He's not the president, and he's on a downward spiral into oblivion, as far as I can tell, if he even survives to the 9-year. But I think we have to start saying, okay, well, we learned the lessons we learned from that experience. He certainly made a lot of people more aware of our government and how our government works. Most people, I mean, I was in high school, I didn't have civics, you know, and I was in high school at a time when education was pretty good, but I went to a Catholic school, so they didn't teach civics in the Catholic school. But we have to know that stuff, you know, that's important. It's important to know what's at stake. And I think we do know what's at stake. And I think that this Capricorn moon is going to help us to reestablish the boundary.
Yeah.
And what we want to grow.
Yeah.
What we want to grow. Do you have any other?
Did we talk about stones?
Well, yeah. Oh no, we didn't, right? We talked about it, but before we got on. So
yeah.
So I had my take on the stones was calcite.
Yeah.
Calcite is a beautiful stone. It's very common. It's not expensive, so you can go to a stone store and get a nice chunk of calcite, and it comes in almost every color of the rainbow. There's also a optical calcite that actually creates a rainbow. There's orange and red, and you could do all your chakras just in calcite, which is I like, because it's not expensive and you can get the whole array. And of course it's calcium, which is the bones, which is Capricorn. So that was my sort of take, but you had a different, you had other.
I got, well, this is interesting. I got turquoise, and you know, turquoise grows in veins inside mountains.
Yeah.
And I thought turquoise, you know, and then as I started to think about, you know, different things, I thought, yeah, turquoise kind of makes sense because it holds record.
Yes.
Right? We're honoring our ancestors in this last new moon. And this is what I pulled. Every stone has a different story. So that's what and I don't have, like, you know, big pieces of turquoise anywhere, but a lot of people have a little piece, and that's all you need. It's
Yeah.
also something we used to do around New Year's, I think. So,
Turquoise.
and then my flavor taste was like grapes, and I think about how raisins actually supply the blood with vital B's.
Right.
So,
Well, and then of course wine, which grapes are made of, is a powerful, but red wine mostly is a powerful antioxidant. And of course sacred to Dionysus, right? And
yeah,
in the old days, this was the time of Saturnalia, and Saturnalia was all about feasting, like to the extent where, talk about a hangover, right? It was like,
oh,
so all of that sort of aligns, I think, with that,
yeah.
and of course the festivities. What would people drink? They would drink wine because that's what they made. They had grapes, and then they had
Mine
to do
is, or,
something.
grapes have it has so many historical significances. It has artistic, it's in the Bible. Grapes they crosses over every element that, in nutritional value. It hydrates you, it helps your blood, right? It's got fiber, the grapes are like, you can live on them.
And I think that there's in the Celtic calendar, there's a day called the Nameless Day. The Nameless Day, and I believe it's the 23rd, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's about rebirth. We're in a cycle of rebirth. We are being born right now, and it may feel like just like a baby in the womb, it gets to a certain point where it's too big to stay within its containment, and I think that's kind of the energy that we're working with at this time. So I again, I have a lot of hope and a lot of
I do too. I feel comfortable in this, it's like it's a cozy thing. Also, try not to like let too much get, I think when there isn't a lot of stimulation, you can easily find yourself in a rabbit hole.
yeah.
And Saturn has the effect of, and the symbolism of the devil, and like, so fear, yeah, is something that you can easily fall into. But I think it's a positive thing. I think a reflection moon.
One of the things that sometimes I'll do is, I'll have clients who are very fearful of something. And I'll ask them, I'll say, well, take that fear to its natural end. Like, say, what if he leaves me? Well, go there. Instead of fearing it, like, you don't want to necessarily create it, but in your mind, go to the end of that and see where that is. And so at least like you have, it's not like negative visualization in a way, but to face the fear, to say, okay, what if that did happen? What would I do? And have like almost like an emergency plan to face the fear that you fear the most, right? Maybe it's financial fear, maybe it's losing somebody that you love, whatever it is. I mean, I think it's a good thing to just explore, not dwell on, but maybe bring yourself to that point and realize that, there are many times in our life that exactly what we fear comes up and in our face. When we get to the other side of it, it's actually a rebirth of a sorts, and we can overcome that. And know that we're always connected to source. So even if we have to, the devil card, which is connected to Capricorn in the tarot, is about a choice of staying in the dark. It's always a choice. We have a choice. And one of the things that I suggest to people when they're going through a period, because some people have that vibration in their chart for their whole lives. Sometimes it's just a temporary vibration. And I say the best thing to do is just go and laugh, because humor is the best way to overcome fear. Honestly.
Oh my gosh,
you laugh, it raises the vibration and the fear dispels.
Yeah, absolutely. The best medicine. Yeah. That's if I rolled out of the other end of the cancer tube.
Yeah.
It was funny. Yeah. I mean, now
Right. some of the greatest comedians have been Cancers because they, they
It gets dark.
yeah.
It's dark, but it's good. Yeah, I know. I try to every day, and I think I hope, and I actually mentioned this to my kid once. I said, I hope you recognize one day that I tried to find, or I saw something funny in just about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, it's in a way, it's the farcical nature of life. Like, it's just utterly, Angie, to quote my mother, Angelina, one of her favorite quotes is, if you're not laughing, you're crying. So you might as well be laughing. And so we need to, it's interesting that the antidote to one of the most serious energies, Capricorn, right, is lightness of heart. Just lifting, that lifting of the spirits, right?
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this new moon?
I think I'm okay. It's tomorrow morning, right? Early
Yes.
in the morning. So I'll set up an altar and, put your ancestors in there. Remember, this is the last year. Thank them for what they gave you, offer it up all year long, and,
Well, I'm excited to see what your altar is going to look like, because I know you do it and then you put it on and all of that.
I have no clue, but the dragon is just about done. That was the other thing. Owls.
Dragon?
Owl, an owl.
Owl, okay.
Symbolism of an owl.
Yeah. I have one right here. Hold on, let me get my owl.
Yeah. That's a great thing to have a picture of an owl on your altar. If you have, yep.
I've been wearing this since my mother passed.
Yeah.
I'm carrying her wisdom around with me.
Yeah. There's an owl in the mix too. So I don't know. I don't have any owl thing. I'll have to find, we'll see what comes to me. I have a bunch of things cut up and we'll see.
No, just kidding. So give a hoot, don't pollute.
The symbolism of the owl, for sure.
Yeah, owls can see in 360 degrees. So it's about being aware of your environment and staying silent, because when they fly, there's no sound.
Yeah.
So until the poor mouse gets boom, then the mouse hears something. The bells of St. Peter for the mouse, I guess.
That's just the natural order of things.
Natural order. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ona. It's always such a pleasure and a joy to do these with you. I look forward to another year of moon shadows and moonshines, as it were. So our next moonshine will be around the full moon, and that is happening
It's got to be
on the 6th of January. So within 2 weeks, you'll see us again talking about the moon.
Yeah.
And that one is full moon,
17
degrees of Cancer.
That's a wolf moon. Yes, the 7-degree thing is a theme also.
Well, it's 17, but you know what? There's a lot of 11s in the chart now. Chiron at 11, Mars at 11, South Node around 11. So there's a lot of, and of course 11 is a master number. So
yeah.
If you have 11s in your chart, if you have things at 11 degrees, something is getting hit right now. So that's something to look at. That would just be, I don't know, my son, right, at 11 of Cancer, but who's counting?
There you go.
Yeah. All right, guys. It was a pleasure spending this time with you. We're gonna sign off and go put our big girl pants on.
Yeah, it's snowing. It's snowing, you guys. It started snowing.
It's funny when you said that, it got dark here.
Yep, it's coming.
Like the storm is now approaching here, and we're not supposed to get snow where I live, but New England is, and New Jersey and Connecticut and all that area, I think is going to get slammed with snow. So we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
Thank you.
We love you guys. Have a wonderful end of the year holiday season, and we'll see you in the new year. All right. Take care, everyone. Namaste.